to talk about the power of perspective and how it changed how I look at things, because that's what perspective is. There's intentional and unintentional. Because we do have the power to do it, we just don't know how to take control of that power. There's something in the way, and I'll explain that to you in a second. Is it all right if I tell you a couple of stories? We'll start with the unintended power of perspective. 33 years ago this month, I was involved in a head-on collision. And both cars are write-off. Luckily, my parents at the time owned two cars. One was a 1979 Pontiac Laurentian. It is about the size of a 7 Series BMW, the SS Laurentian. It's a boat on wheels. The other car they owned was a 1984 Hyundai Pony. It's the size of a Hyundai Pony, okay? So the Hyundai Pony was the last car in the driveway, and that was the car I was supposed to take, and I was going out to see my girlfriend, my friends and my girlfriend. And my dad said, no, I need to work on the car because it's a Hyundai Pony. Take the Laurentian. I said, okay, so we switched around, off I go. 2 kilometers from my house, it almost looked like this Volvo jumped out at me like a cat playing tag with your foot. I had enough time to say, oh, the S word didn't come out afterwards by the time I hit. And I say I hit her, but she actually got in my way. She was in my lane. But I hit her, drove over the front of her front end, down, and had to rank this car over because it was still moving and get it off the highway. So, wow, unbelievable. Couldn't get my passenger door open because it was jammed. The whole front end was jammed, or my driver's side. Had to go out the passenger side. Checked to make sure the woman that crossed lanes and ran into me was okay. She wasn't wearing her seatbelt, but it hit the windshield, but she just broke her nose, everything was fine. So the police showed up. I can't call anybody, this is 33 years ago, so no cell phones, right? Couldn't call anybody. Police show up, and I'm kind of impatient because I've got a date, right? I'm supposed to be seeing my girlfriend. So I just mentioned to the police officer, hey, by the way, you realize I was supposed to drive a Hyundai Pony tonight. And he says, good thing, because I'd probably be filling out a death description of what happened here. Normally the reaction to that would be, wow, I'm so lucky. I can't believe I've survived because my dad told me to take the SS Laurentian. My reaction was, cool, I'm alive, that's great. When can I go see my girlfriend? Like, I'm running out of time here, it's getting late, can I leave? And I was able to survive that trauma or experience that trauma in a different way because unintentionally, my perspective was, I'm more horny than I am scared. You know, thank God for teenage hormones, you know, let's go. So, unintentional power perspective. So let's move to the intentional power perspective. And there's only one way to really get to it. And there's something that gets in the way of it with all of us, and it's our ego. And the event in my life that made me realize this was losing my job. How many people here have been restructured corporately? Yes. Lost their job. Not only did I lose my job, I lost my career. I loved what I did. I worked in sports radio. I was part of the launch of sports radio in Canada. And I was really good at my job. So because of people telling me how good I was, my ego turned into being really cocky. And if you don't mind, I'm going to give you a little visual representation of how my cockiness built over the way when I got promoted and told how good I was. So I'm going to stand sideways so you can see this a little better. Hey Ian, you're really good at what you do. Do you mind helping us launch sports radio and be on the board and control everything that happens? Yeah, that's pretty good. Hey, Ian, that was 1992. 1996, hey Ian, you're really good at what you do. How about you look after the department? Well, that sounds pretty good. Hey Ian, this is now 2003. You're really good at writing. Could you be responsible for the branding of the radio station? Absolutely. Hey Ian, 2010. We're in charge of the Winter Olympics. We want you to be in charge of everything that comes out of Toronto and across the country. Do you think you can handle that? Yeah, that sounds good. There's my cockiness. There's my ego. Like, I was told so often I was good, and I always heard I was good, and I believed it to the point of letting my ego take control. 2010, again, just after the Olympics were over, I found out that, you know what, new management's coming in, we really don't need you to do all the stuff you're doing. There goes my ego, totally deflated. But Ian, you are good enough that we still want your opinion on things we're going to do, but we really don't want you to do it anymore. My ego was so hurt, I reverted to a child. I reverted to, but that's my sandbox. Those are my toys. I need to play with those things to understand how good I am. This is my career you're talking about. This is my rule. Now, but worst of all, when they came into my sandbox, not only did they kick me out into the grass and only leave me grass to play with, they didn't know what they were doing. They had no idea how to run things, what happened to happen. So to play with the toys, they would have to constantly ask me, hey Ian, how do we play with this? And I would show them and say, yeah, go back to the grass. Hey Ian, we can't get this to fix. Can you fix it? Yeah, I'll fix it. Go back to the grass. I did that for 18 months and felt emasculated, like I had no power. Totally devastated everything that I thought I was good at in 20 years of working for a radio station. Finally, restructured. And it was a horrible experience for me. It took me 2 years to get back into broadcasting after being let go. And over those 2 years, my ego from cockiness just turned to prickiness. I was the biggest, worst person towards my wife, towards my son, because my ego wouldn't let me just move on. I had to suffer. I had to let people know how I was suffering. I needed sympathy for how I was suffering and how bad I felt and how hurt my ego was. And for a few years, that's all I was a bad person. Got back into radio, started working again, didn't satisfy me anymore. It didn't feel good. I wasn't happy. I wasn't getting done what I wanted to get done. So I realized I had to change something inside of me. And a friend of mine, his name is Joel Martin. I don't know if anybody knows his name. Yes. He's an incredible networker. Like, he just gets people together and they talk. And he invited me out to a network event. And this networking event, the speakers were incredible, powerful. But they're using phrases like positive mental attitude. They're using phrases like infinite intelligence. They're using things like resonance. And from the position I was coming from, I'm like, yeah, that's BS. This is all Scientology stuff, right? Like, I don't believe any of this. Gone. Thanks, Joel. No thanks. Still felt miserable. Joel calls me again 6 months later. Hey, Ian, I really want you to come out to this one. All right, I'll come out. I had been exposed once, so maybe one of those little resonance things was still vibrating in my head. Because now when I listen to these people speak and talk about sharing energy and being able to resonate with how people think and talk, you know what? That kind of makes sense to me now. So over the next 3 years, I start going to these networking events, talking to people I've never talked to, start breaking through some of my fears, and realize, you know what? This is something I think I need to do. I'm going to start doing self-help. And 3 years ago, I would have called BS on self-help. I'm going to start doing self-help. I signed up for programs. I did ESSA. I did public speaking training. I've done other programs. But there was still this negative energy hanging on to me. And it was still my ego. Until I got to watch, who knows Armin Shaffi? When Armin Shaffi. Not only is he an incredible speaker, he's an incredible coach. I got to witness a live coaching session with 60 other people in the room. No, I'm not going to mention names, Sheila. I won't mention your name, Sheila. But this turned into an ego intervention. Ego intervention. And from the perspective that I was watching it from, if it was me, I would have been devastated. But because of where I was sitting and got to see that if you just release that ego and change your thinking from, whoa, woe is me, I have sympathy, to I have empathy. I want you to understand where I'm coming from, and you can feel where I'm coming from so that I can help you. That is taking control of your perspective. When you can drop your ego and realize that you need to help somebody through empathy and not from them feeling sorry for yourself. Thank you very much for your time, MoMondays. Really appreciate it.